Hello, everybody. And I just wanted to say one more thing about Romans chapter 3, verses 21 through 23, when Paul announces the evangel that's apart from law, and the fact that we are getting a righteousness of God through Jesus Christ's faith. I want to talk about that for a second, but it goes back to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, and it also has something to do with Jesus' last words when he died on the cross, when he said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. So, first, to understand spirit and that faith that Jesus had in his Father, which we are saved by, here is very important. So, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, it says, Yahweh Elohim formed the human out of soil from the ground, and he blew into his nostrils the breath of life, and the human being became a living soul. So the word nephesh in the Hebrew is translated to mean soul, and every time it's used 754 times in the Hebrew scriptures. And what it is it's a combination of body and spirit. So Adam was created basically as a body. He didn't become a living soul until God breathed life into him. And the breath of life, the breath of God, is God's spirit. So Adam was a body that God formed, and then when God put his spirit or breathed his spirit into Adam, that combination of the body and the spirit became nephesh, and that's a living soul. So we don't have a soul, we are a soul. And when we die, our body goes back to the earth and we're dead just like Adam was when he was created and formed, and our spirit goes back to God. It's not a conscious spirit. We're dead, we no longer exist. The spirit goes back to where it came from God, and it stays there until God puts that spirit in a resurrected or another body, and then we become a soul again. But that's what Jesus said when he died on the cross. Lord, or Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. So the faith of Jesus, we have to understand, was that Jesus was going to the grave. He was going to die. So in his last breath, when he committed his spirit to the Father, he wasn't going directly to the Father. He wasn't going anywhere. He was going to death. The spirit, the unconscious spirit, that's why Jesus committed it to his Father, because he had to let go. He had to let go and have faith. He had to believe that when he let his spirit go and it went back to God, and now he was just a dead body and didn't exist, he had to believe that God would give that spirit back to his resurrected body and raise him from the dead. So Jesus' faith had so much to do with his last words and leading up to that in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he asked, is there any other way that I can save humanity? And God was silent. So Jesus knew he had to go through this. But it's all about him trusting God and having that perfect faith that when he gave up his spirit and that spirit went back to God and Jesus no longer existed, the faith of Jesus believed that God would give him life again and raise him from the dead. That's the faith that saves us. So whatever faith we get from God, however little or weak it may be, as long as it's attached to what Jesus Christ did and his faith, then our faith is made perfect because it's all about Jesus' faith. He's the one who had the perfect faith, and we attach on to that. So it goes a step further then. Paul explains that if we attach on to that faith, then we also die with Christ. And if we die with Christ, then we're also resurrected with Christ. So that action is basically like we did it. Even though Christ did it, he imparts it, that righteousness and those actions to us. So it's like we died and had perfect faith, and then were resurrected from the dead. So if we are going to, you know, jump off a bridge into a lake, and that lake is death, and we're all heading there. Well, Jesus came up and held our hand, and he believed for us that when we went to death, and he's going to come to death with us, that God is going to raise us from that lake, and we're going to be resurrected. So he holds our hand and he jumps with us. And because of his faith, we come down and die with him in the lake. And he lifts us out of the lake as God lifted him out to be resurrected and with God forever. So the whole process is of Jesus Christ, but he gives that process to us just like as if we did it. But it's all based on Jesus Christ's faith, his death for our sin, and his resurrection. So no matter what we are, what we struggle with, even if it's a struggle in faith, we latch on to the fact that Jesus Christ's faith was perfect. He died and was resurrected, and he gives that righteousness that he achieved to us. Not something we can earn through law, as Paul says in Romans 3:21. And then moving on in Romans, there's many other examples of Paul excluding law and proving that law cannot be a part of our salvation. And I might go into that here a little bit in the next video. Thank you.